Hey, what's up, YouTube? Back with another video, and today we are reacting to Concord shutting down within a week. But this is explained by Penguin.
At the same
Or
time
Moist
as
Critical. This
Concord.
channel is the.
You,
Hold up.
do you even realize how lucky you are to be alive right now? To exist at the same time as Concord. You are alive at a time that people will talk about for centuries to come. You get to witness the biggest failure in gaming. Not only the biggest failure in gaming, but undoubtedly one of the biggest failures in all of entertainment. PlayStation just announced that they're
Honestly, probably. Like, we joke a lot about, you know what I'm saying? No Man's Sky and Cyberpunk. But development 8 years shut down in a week? Nah, even Cyberpunk didn't even do that. So, honestly, I don't know. It's gonna take a while for like somebody to like dethrone this as
already
a
shutting
flop.
down Concord in 3 days from now. That's the doomsday for all 9 people still inhabiting that barren wasteland. The game didn't even survive 2 full weeks.
Oh,
I
my
probably
bad,
could have
too.
lasted longer on a deserted island with only fucking coconuts to satiate me. This game just
Did you fall out
barely
a coconut tree?
squeaked over a week of life. And life is a term I'm using very loosely because this game was never alive to begin with. It was dead on arrival. 660 all-time peak, and even right now with this news that it's going to be shutting down, not even those 660 people bothered to flock to it to get like one last ride in there, one little ooh-rah before it sails off into the sunset. I imagine most of those players probably already refunded the game because it was a $40 game that was a watered-down, worse version of all of its free counterparts that it was trying to suckle from the teats of. It was an embarrassing flop that everyone.
I don't. From what I seen, it didn't look bad. I think the main issue was it just wasn't free. It just wasn't free. Cause I wouldn't say it was really worse than Overwatch or Marvel's Rival or like TF2. I can't think of any other like hero shooters. Like, I guess Valorant counts, but I'm gonna be honest with you. Valorant is like, it's literally just like animated
One
Rainbow
with
Six
eyes saw
Siege.
coming from a mile away, except for Sony, it seems. 8 years in development, millions upon millions.
Actually, mm, I I'd reckon that, was it Blizzard? No, Riot Games. I'd reckon that Riot Games shutting down that 2D fighting game 2-3 months ago because of uh multiverses flopping in the beta. I'd say that's the worst. That's probably the biggest letdown because they shut it down because they seen somebody else couldn't do it, so they're like, oh, well, we couldn't do it. So I mean, yes and no, that is true. Because if Warner Brothers rendition of Smash Bros can't win, then you definitely can't win. I mean, you can, but they don't have the passion
Millions of dollars in the shitter here,
or the
only for
resources.
the
Well, they
game
might have
to
the resources.
exist for barely over a week. A loaf of bread lasts longer than Concord did, and they're pulling the plug on.
Mm-hmm. Yes and no. If it's been in development for 8 years, not really. That's why I think that Riot Games 2D Fighter, because it actually got published. Like, I get what you're saying when you make bread, and after the bread doesn't rot after it's been made. But if you think about it, there's no way you to preserve 8 years worth of bread. Like, to try to make a sandwich and take over 8 years with the same ingredients, that's impossible. But I get his analogy.
On it already. It should have never even released in the first place. This was a complete
I
waste
think if
of
it was
8 years
free,
of
it
time
would have been
and money.
okay.
It is rough.
For
This is a
$40 or
harder
maybe
flop
20
than my
bucks.
cock under your mother's chin. I do not.
Most critical. Me and you are the same height. Relax, bro. Man, relax. We are 5'7" kings. You might actually, I heard you might be like 5'6" king. So I'm gonna need you to stop joking like that. We don't all have short mothers, you know.
And I said this last time, I do not know who this game was ever made for. Because the audience it tries to appeal to was never going to switch to this game because it's already $40. You've already lost that battle.
See, that was my main point too. $40 is crazy. That and it being slid into it while like all the other games, like Marvel Rivals, that's why I was like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Marvel Rivals was it's too crazy. It's free. That's why I was like $40 for this category game. If it was free, it would have lasted like a half a year, maybe a
because
year.
all of the other games in that genre are free and better. So it was a surprise to no one that when this game dropped,
Overwatch.
its player count sucked shit through a crazy straw. Nobody was asking for this. There wasn't a demand for it. There was no one lining up to purchase this. This was something nobody wanted, like a lump of coal for Christmas. It really is not a shocker that this game never breached 700 players. Its peak was 660. That is pathetic. That is laughable. If you go into like Steam dumpster diving, you can just throw a fucking dart at your computer monitor and whatever.
See, I hear that, but this came out. Did this not come out the same time Wukong came out? And Wukong just like broke all those records. So like, it's kind of impossible for like two positive record breaking numbers to happen at the same time. You can't have two peaks, which you could, but that seems very something's rigged. Because you're really playing one game, how are you playing the other game? Unless I think Wukong would have been the only situation because like okay, you have you have the Chinese playing it or the Asians because it's probably Japanese people playing as well, even though it's Chinese folklore. But then you have the Americans playing whatever game came out in America. So I could see like the battle on like the Sabrina Carpenter and the Travis Scott. You know what I'm saying? They both sold like almost a quarter million units. You know what I'm saying? But I don't.
Game it lands on that you've never heard of, like fucking Glorbus's Hemorrhoid Adventure, that probably had more than 660 players at some point. It is
That's like my
hard
question
to
is
find
how
a game
was
that
this
had
game
this
developed for
little
8 years?
hype
But yeah, I
around
only knew about it
it. Like
until like
playing
5 months
Concord
ago.
was like going into an empty Burger King. This whole thing was just sad. And now they're already pulling the plug on it less than 2
Hey, as a nigga who worked at Burger King for 2 years, give or take a year and a half, 2 years during COVID and high school and all that, an empty Burger King means different for me. For me, I love it.
weeks after it's been out. I
Oh,
also love the way they start their statement. Concord fans, as
don't
if
even
any of
listen.
those exist. You'd be more likely to find aliens than Concord fans. We've been listening closely to your feedback since the launch of Concord on
Aliens are just
PlayStation
like
5 and PC, and
unidentified
want to thank
people, bro.
everyone who
So
has joined the
technically, by
journey aboard the
definition,
North Star. You could have
maybe.
just sent all of them a DM. Like, there's not many of them. You could have easily reached them directly. Your support and the passionate community that has grown around the game has
crazy,
meant the
bro.
world to us. I don't know where that community is, I'm going to be honest. The only passion I see in regards to Concord is people passionately shitting on it and laughing at it. Because
Sadly,
it is a
yes.
spectacle how badly this game flopped. However, while the many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game and our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. Therefore, at this time, we have decided to take the game offline beginning September 6, 2024, and explore options including those that will better reach our players. While we determine the best path ahead, Concord sales will cease immediately, and we'll begin to offer a full refund for all gamers who have purchased the game for PS5 or PC. If you purchase the game for PS5 from the PlayStation Store or PlayStation Direct, a refund will be issued back to your original payment method. It is exceptionally rare to see something fail to this degree.
Yeah, them offering
Millions
refunds
upon
out like
millions
that
of
is
dollars
crazy.
invested in this project over the course of 8 years with a big team.
It's not bad. It's not as bad as Cyberpunk, bro. I looked up the numbers. I looked up the Cyberpunk numbers. Cyberpunk has only made like $50 million, yet they've spent over $80 million to produce it. So it's not. It's literally not as bad as a flop. Because if I have to tell you, in order for a video game that also was in development for 8 years, like Cyberpunk, the only reason we can, go positive is dumping an extra 700 million dollars into it. Yeah, bro. That's what I'm saying. All Concord needs is Keanu Reeves. You go get Keanu Reeves, and you say you're exceptional, and we can get another 5,000 people to buy this game. Same way as Cyberpunk, because newsflash, buddy. Cyberpunk's the most refunded game of all time, and that's no clickbait. You look that shit up yourself. It goes Cyberpunk, then it goes No Man's Sky. So they could, but like Sony don't give a fuck. It's a tax write off at the end of the day. I think like on a real note, it's a tax write off. Like they tried, They're like, oh, we don't do this. It's not like they don't have, I don't know, Spider-Man, that second game of the year last year. Then they got God of War Ragnarok, that was game of the year like 3 years ago. Then they had like Spider-Man PS4. Then like God of War PS4. Then like The Last of Us 2. Like all they need to do to recruit is just drop Bloodborne. Like niggas ain't give, PlayStation don't give a fuck, bro.
Team of people working on it, and they get like
If
30
they
grand
wanted to
in
make
sales
money
from
off of it, they
PC.
could do it.
Relative to what they spent on this project, that $30,000 return is incomprehensibly tiny. They released a wet fart that will
See, look. He's saying the 30,000 compared to, like, that's damn near the same percent margin. It's Cyberpunk. That's what I'm telling you, bro. The Cyberpunk glazes OD, bro. Like, we understand it. Like, hyper realistic graphics. I get to choose my meat size, bro. Like, nudity. Like, yeah, robots. You know what I'm saying? But it's like it only got that big because they spent $1 billion goddamn dollars. Then they had a goddamn animated series on Netflix. Like, bro, like I don't. That's why I'm like, I don't. You think Sony
be
don't have
talked
the
about in
money to do all
economics
that? They
courses,
could,
I
but
think, for eons to come. To
they're
put that
like
in
shit.
perspective,
Marvel
that
Rivals come out in
$30,000
like
they
3
made on
months.
PC
What
sales
the
for
fuck I'm supposed to
Concord
do?
most likely don't even cover a year's worth of electricity bills for the office building that their employees work out of. I decided to look at a couple of numbers out of curiosity. So Firewalk has roughly 150 gas. Fucking getting get surprised at with fire that are
Yeah,
being
bro. We're gonna end his video there. This is a good, like he's just shitting on it at this point, which is fine, But as long as you can equally shit on, Cyberpunk for being ass, you know what I'm saying? Which I'm gonna end the video here, but I'm definitely about to comment that. Cause it's just like you gotta hold everybody equal. If Cyberpunk can be the most refunded game of all time, it take 2-3 years for it to start making money. It's like, yeah. The only issue is PlayStation doesn't feel like pumping and doubling the price of what it took to create that game. Unlike Cyberpunk, that's why like I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, who cares? You just pay them out, write it off as a tax write off. Nobody really loses any money because money as a concept is not real. We owe China like 70 trillion. But that's just like I don't, yeah, bro. It is what it is. It was a nice video game. It was a nice idea that sadly will not be lost because Marvel Rivals comes out in 3 months and will be infinitely times funner because Marvel characters. Because Batman, not Batman, because Iron Man go brrr. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't. It is what it is, bro. They had an idea. They looked at the market and probably that's really what happened. They looked at the market and was just like, there's like kind of no way for this to hit because look at everything else. And they're like, oh, all right, well, we'll clip it now. Clip it now before we spend a whole lot of money. And then we're looking up and it's 2027. They're like, oh, guys, we finally made 10 million off the game. And they're like, we're finally positive 10 million after 10 years? Like Cyberpunk? And they're like, oh, no, they don't want to compare us to Cyberpunk. Even though they got their game was refunded like 100 times more than us. That's what's like, I don't know. It's just an echo chamber, bro. Rest in peace, Concord, bro. I love y'all, bro. Y'all tried it, bro. Y'all tried it. Hopefully, everybody that works on it still has a job, like real stuff, because niggas really be getting laid off and just fired, and then like it takes them like 3-4 years to get on another project. So hopefully, everybody that worked towards making that game, they could pit towards something like a regular shooter, like maybe an Uncharted. I don't, another hyper realistic game that people on PlayStation will buy. But I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Let me know how y'all felt about Concord. Was it really ass? Was it? Because they did advertise the hell out of it, so that's probably really why I think they ended it. Because they paid a whole bunch of streamers to play it, like RDC World and etc. That's the only person I watched. That's the only reason I really knew what the gameplay even looked like. And I was like, okay, this doesn't look bad. It's just a different game. But yeah, y'all let me know how y'all feel about this.